It's time to focus on seniors with Helping Seniors TV. The television show designed to make you aware of senior issues and needs, as well as to acquaint you with the resources available to help you age in place and with dignity. Now, here's your host, Joe Steckler.
I'm Joe Steckler, and welcome to Helping Seniors, the television arm of Helping Seniors of Brevard County. Our show is designed to provide you with information on how to develop your own aging and care plans. Our topic today is ordering prescriptions at lower prices. And joining me is Joe Pons of Canadian Meds of Melbourne. Welcome, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
It's, we've done a few radio shows, a couple of television shows, but the service you are providing is something that more people need to know about. And that's the whole purpose of Helping Seniors, is to inform, to educate, and connect people with services. If we can inform people about services like Canadian Meds of Melbourne and help them understand what you do, why you do it, and how they can make themselves or avail themselves of your services, it saves them money, it helps them get better medical care, correct?
Correct, absolutely.
So what is Canadian Meds of Melbourne? Tell our viewing audience.
Absolutely. Canadian Meds of Melbourne is a pharmacy service. What we do very simply is that we use our pharmacists who are in Canada to shop the world for you. What that does is allows us to purchase medicine from the factories where they're made and have them shipped directly to you. That cuts out all the middlemen. We cut out the greed factor and allows us to save you anywhere between, on average, 60 to 90% on your prescription medications. It's that simple.
When we were talking, we started talking about the Affordable Health Care Act, and you told me that the Affordable Health Care Act help you serve more people. And I said, how in the world does the Affordable Health Care Act help you serve more people? I didn't even think of it. How about telling our viewers about why that is?
Well, the mandate has more Americans going to doctors, and more people going to doctors means more people being prescribed more medications. And the better or worse of that is that more people can't afford the medications that they're being prescribed. People look for the alternative, and here we are, Canadian Meds of Melbourne / Canadian Meds of North America, ready to serve and to save people money.
I shouldn't probably ask this, but are there other, I never asked you this question before, how many companies are there like yours around here? Do you know?
Well, amongst the ones that are affiliated with the ownership of Canadian Meds, not personally owned by myself, but we have 3 partners. There are 18 across North America.
18 Canadian Meds?
Canadian Meds, correct.
But are there other similar services? A lot?
Now, there are similar services. I don't know the exact number. In comparison to what we need, far too few. Far too few. The fact is that we are a drop in the bucket in comparison to what Americans need as far as help is concerned with the high price of prescription medications.
Do you find that people are, maybe I don't know the right word either, fearful of ordering for you, figuring they may not get the product they need? Have you ever been asked that question?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Every day.
You're right.
People are fearful of change. They're not used to putting themselves out there, particularly in something that's so important as medicine.
What's it?
They're used to purchasing books and music and other sundry items online all the time.
Right.
But when it comes to medicine, they're a little bit more fearful. And I can understand that.
Yeah, you don't know what's behind the label.
Exactly. But that's the advantage of Canadian Meds as opposed to other entities, is that we're right here in Melbourne. When they want to get medicine, they come and they shake my hand, they can see my face and say, okay, here's a person who can give me customer service. They speak my language. They understand what I'm saying. They can allay my fears. And that's why we do so well, Joe.
Well, I think also, Joe, it's important for our viewing audience to know that the medicines that you're selling through Canadian Meds are the same medicines that they would go to Walgreens and Publix or any of these pharmacies. They're the same medication. How do you do that?
Absolutely. We use the exact same process that they do. The difference is that we tell you the process. That's the only difference. Well, and we don't charge you an exorbitant amount of money for that same medicine.
I know it's important for seniors, but there's another. If I wish I had a pill to fix this crick in my neck, but I don't. I got some. And I talked to the dentist about it. I had him on TV yesterday, and Dr. Sheldon said I probably have pinched a nerve in here someplace, but I get my head in a certain position, it just hurts like crazy. But I was just thinking about all the young people that we have in the country from 21 to 65 that don't have insurance. They go to a doctor and they may need a pill or a shot. It's not uncommon to have to spend $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000 a year on these medicines, these prescription drugs, and these young people. They don't know about a company like yours, because why should they? Why? I mean, one of the hardest things for you to do is to advertise that service, and that's what we're trying to do on these television shows, is to get people to know more about your service so they can tell other people about it. Word of mouth is spreading it. It makes a big difference. Absolutely. You have a hard time fighting Walgreens, Walmart, those big guys can run over you easily.
Yes, I mean they're making lots of money, and they can spend lots, and I say lots, we're talking about millions of dollars in advertising, reaching out to every corner, every demographic, but the fact of the matter is you hit it right on the head. Word of mouth is the most powerful advertising that there is, and to reach out to seniors who we look to first. For them to talk to younger people, because you're right. A young family usually doesn't have that resource to save that money that they're spending. And let's face it, we are all in some way or another on a fixed income.
Right. We got a call at Seniors or at Helping Seniors. Got a call recently from a 75-year-old woman and a 77-year-old man. They're at a point where they simply need help in caring for each other. The wife doesn't drive, the husband no longer can drive, but they have an income of $2,500 a month, and that's it. And when I told you about it, you kind of, that's not a whole lot, but there are millions of people in the United States living on that amount of money. And when it comes to after buying prescription drugs, they need to know about a service like yours. A lot of these people, they can't even afford Medicare. Medicaid doesn't pay for any of this, except in very unusual circumstances. They don't have insurance to pay for it. Let's face it, the Affordable Health Care Act helped a lot of people and put a lot of people into the insurance program, but they're in insurance programs that don't pay for what they need. And I know a person that fell, and their foot is injured, and it's just not coming back. But I'm sure that the person is reluctant to go to a doctor because of the cost of insurance and the type of insurance that they were able to get through the Affordable Health Care Act. It doesn't cover what they need to have covered. So you fill a big, important gap with your prescription drug service.
Right, exactly. That's the thing, is that with the Affordable Health Care Act, you can get great health care coverage, but there is a difference between great health care coverage and great prescription coverage. We're talking about two different things.
What do you mean by that?
Is that with the changes in health care, you can get a great health care coverage. You can get a health care plan that covers everything that you need. you can pay a fairly decent, and of course, affordable is a relative term, Joe.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And
Whether you want a Chevy or a Cadillac.
Right, exactly. So, affordable is depending on your point of view. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And of course, deductibles, again, depending on your point of view, can be fair to Midland if you want. But if you get into that plan and it doesn't cover the medication that you're currently taking, then you may be stuck between a rock and a hard place when you're used to paying next to nothing, say $10 a month for your medication, and then all of a sudden that plan doesn't cover it anymore, and now you're expected to pay $300 a month for that medication. Now there's a difference between affordable and what's not affordable.
Yeah.
See, now your plan is great, but your prescription coverage isn't so good.
Well, I know for a fact that many senior citizens know about the SHINE program, serving the health insurance needs of elders.
Yes.
And I know that the SHINE counselors refer people to you.
Yes.
And they do that because they know that you can help them fill a gap that they can't. A SHINE counselor can recommend, and if they see a family that needs help and they know that they can't get it except by going to you, they're going to refer to you, and they do that. But we see this term inclusive medicine, inclusive prescription, and when it gets to prescription drugs, what do you mean by inclusive medicines?
The medicines that we carry, or that we offer, if you would, include all brand name medications. The misconception when people say Canadian medicine or Canadian meds is that what we do is we offer only generics. That's not true. We offer all brand name, safe generic medications, those offered here in the United States, as well as those that are not available within the United States from safe companies that are open door from countries that we trust. The only things that we don't offer, Joe, are those products that are considered controlled substances. So like narcotics, hallucinogens, certain pain medications, and unfortunately, insulin products.
I know, that's the one that bothers me.
It bothers me too. When I first started this business, we had those products. And slowly over time, as America started to see a greater need for those products, we slowly started to see those products phased out. We lost our handle, if you would, on being able to offer those products to our customers.
Give our viewers an idea of the cost of insulin and what the insulin manufacturers. See, you can't buy insulin outside the country, correct?
No, not anymore. We've lost it. We no longer offer insulin at this point.
Well, no. What I was asking is it made in other countries as
Yes,
well
sir.
as the United States?
Yes, sir.
But you can't buy it out another country and bring it in.
You can. I mean, it's possible, but as far as we ourselves, we cannot. For example, some of the best insulin widely known is actually made in France and Belgium, and that's where it's manufactured, and that's where it's imported. And for those who actually take insulin, I suggest that you get the little box, the Novolog and the Humalog. You'll have a little distinct black label with little blue writing, and it comes with a little, with very, very fine writing. For those of us who need glasses, you're going to need a magnifying glass. But if you go on the back side of that, you flip it over and you look down at the bottom, it'll tell you where it's made, and it's not made here in the United States. Those bottles, those little vials of insulin, they retail somewhere around $300. We used to be able to offer it at about $110 a vial, right around a third.
That's a 30% saving.
Yes, sir.
So why you used to be able to bring that medicine into the United States, but
Yes, sir.
the U.S. makers of insulin, I bet, have precluded you from bringing that in.
I would say so. I don't want to lie, because I can't put it down in writing and verify it and stamp it. But let's face it, Joe. If you're looking at losing a very large percentage of your profits, would it not behoove you to prevent Americans from saving that money?
Yeah, that's a sad thing. And this is, I know that the drug companies, makers of drugs, prescription drugs, I know they have a right to a profit, but what are people entitled to be able to have to live? Insulin is probably one of the top selling drugs in the United States.
Yes.
And the average cost of insulin is probably roughly $300 a month.
Right. For those who have no coverage, yes. I mean, that's just the retail price. If you go to one of the big box stores and you need a vial of insulin, that's about how much you would pay.
And a vial of insulin lasts what, for a month?
About a month. I mean, for those who, are your, I would say, average diabetic. I don't know if there's such a thing, but, for a person who would use, a certain number, twice a day injections, about a month.
This is something I don't know. Let's say if a person is 65 or older and are on their Medicare program under prescription drug coverage, it's partially covered through Medicare Part C. But for families underneath that, you got from 21 to 65, you've got a lot of those people have insurance, and those that have insurance, a lot of those people, their prescription drugs are covered. But when you got a whole bunch of people that don't have any kind of coverage or have coverage that doesn't include drugs, the only way they can pay for that is out of pocket. So that leads me to another question. We know that there is describe the savings so people understand the guy that why you're going to a lot of surgeons now, and why you're going to doctors to avail themselves of this product, because relate that to the guy that has to have that injection in the knee.
Absolutely. Orthopedic surgeons are a perfect example of doctors who we are seeking out.
Okay.
Now, your average everyday doctor, and that's not to belittle any specialist. I mean, general practitioners are perfect examples because they see so many patients. They prescribe medications to patients. They're the ones who see John and Jane Q Citizen. They know the patients. They know who's taking medication. Orthopedic surgeons see individuals who need a specific type of medication. This medication helps people to walk, helps people with mobility. And this particular medication, called Orthovisc, retails at big box stores for a little over $1,100
per injection.
Per injection. This injection is something that most people simply can't afford. Statistically speaking, most people can't. Working Americans don't have $1,000 in the bank to write a check in case of emergencies. So there's people who are walking around with no cartilage in their knee, no cartilage in their shoulder, who have to wait and save and save and save in order to get these injections from the surgeons. We have the same medicine for a little under $200, $189 and some odd cents.
But that medication is made in the United States.
It's not made in the United States, but it is available for our citizens right here, right now, through our company.
Okay, but that medicine is also sold in the United States by the same surgeon.
And that's the thing is, Joe, it's right now available, and we have people walking around here today who, within 2 to 3 weeks, can see their doctor and can have that ability to walk better, can move around, can have that mobility. Why? because of cost. That's the shame of it, Joe.
Is that kind of medicine something you have to continue for a long time, or is it a repeated type thing?
No, once. Now, I'm a layman, so I will say this, that from what I've from talking to the doctors and the staff, that this is a one-time thing, that the doctors go ahead and apply it, and that they're done. Now, of course, I'm sure that there's a lot of intricacies that I'm not privy to, but this is a one-time thing. This is not, these patients are not coming back to me over and over again for this particular medication. So I get to see them one time. I get the pleasure of their company for one time. But it's wonderful meeting them. But to think that we get to affect that kind of change at so little of a cost, just by speaking with one doctor.
Yeah, and that product that you're selling for $189 is the exact same product that they get through the store here in the United States that they pay $1,100, $1,200 for.
Yes.
So you're making a profit. The drug company that produced this medicine is making a profit.
Yes, sir.
And the customer is saving roughly $900.
Yes, sir.
See, it doesn't make sense. And I've got a report on the drug industry at home that I have to read that someone sent to me. And I read these things and I'm horrified because I had the same thing happen on hearing devices. I found out that hearing devices, the molded type that I wear, average cost is between $2,300 and $2,800. They're made by 6 companies in the world, and all those companies are outside the United States, and only about 3 million of the 60 million senior citizens in the United States are ordering these hearing devices because many people don't know that the Veterans Administration will give vets that qualify hearing devices free. And I get my devices from the vets, and I went to a luncheon recently, and I sat at a table with 2 military retirees. One of them was a VA guy, gets his stuff from the VA, didn't even know they had hearing devices, and he's been buying hearing devices on the open market, and he's got one that's so old, and he puts his hand behind his ear to listen to you.
Oh, my goodness.
That's a shame. But the amazing part, Joe, about the hearing device industry is that of all the hearing devices sold in the United States every year, 20% are purchased by the VA. So I would imagine a lot of the same thing is happening with medications. People don't know about going to the VA. They don't know that they're eligible, and they just don't take advantage. We like to talk about the problems and not the solution. When I talk to you on this program, I'm talking to you viewers, I'm talking to Joe. Joe is trying to figure out a way to help you save money. But more importantly, you're helping them get the medicines that they need.
Yes.
What is new with Canadian Med since the last time I talked to you, Joe?
Wow, what is new? We've got more word of mouth, which is wonderful. More doctor referrals, which is absolutely great. That's across the board, both specialists as well as general practitioners.
Why is that?
It's simply a matter of value, and of course, doctors care. Doctors get a bad rap. Doctors are seen as part of the system. They're seen as part of a medical system that doesn't care. But the fact is that the doctors and the nurses and the office staff, they're the ones who see the patients every single day.
Right.
And they know that when they prescribe a particular medication and this patient comes back over and over again for these visits and they're not getting better, well, then there's a problem. Either the diagnosis is wrong or the medication that they're taking, it either needs to be tweaked, it needs to be adjusted. So what's the problem? Well, John or Jane Q. Citizen isn't taking the medicine. Okay, well, why aren't you taking the medication? Well, gee, doctor, my health plan doesn't cover it, so I'm not taking it. Okay, let's solve the problem. Okay, well, let's find a way to get you to where you're taking your medicine. A lot of doctors will take free samples and give them to the patients, which is wonderful.
Samples that they legally get from the pharmaceutical representatives.
Correct.
But they don't give those out today like they used to give out 10 years ago.
No, not anymore. Not anymore. Though that's a dwindling supply. And of course, that helps the doctors gauge dosages as well, which is wonderful. But in the long term, there needs to be a solution. And until one can be provided nationwide for everyone, what they do is they say, hey, there's this guy called Little Joe Pons. He's got an office down in Melbourne.
Wait, did it say Little Joe?
Yeah, well, they call me Little Joe.
I'm not going to have you stand up because our TV cameras probably don't cover the range height that you get to. But are more doctors seeing you? Are you able to see more doctors?
Yes, and that's the beautiful part. Even just a matter of talking to the office managers, picking up the phone, and just by referral of patients who are saying, hey, there's this guy in town, he helped me, here's his card, some other patients here may need him. And they call me and say, hey, what's going on? Tell me how this works. 15 minutes later, I've explained everything that happens. I go, okay, you know what? We've got patients who can use you.
Okay, well, I know, Joe, for a fact that more people are subscribing to our online newsletter through Helping Seniors. I know that our information specialist asks you for columns for our newsletter because we think that we try to put the things in our newsletter that are going to help people. So I know that what you do does help people, and we'll do everything we can to publicize that. But I just want to thank you for being here, Joe, and I've enjoyed having you today. And I want to thank you, viewer, for watching today's episode of Helping Seniors. I'm Joe Steckler. Thank you for joining our program today. I'd like to remind you that our senior information line is available to you at 321-473-7770. There you can get help and direction that could be helpful for your specific situation or circumstances. The work of helping seniors is very important, but we can't do it alone. That is why our sponsors here in Brevard County are so important. I'd like to thank our many area sponsors, businesses and medical providers who support the mission of helping seniors that help us carry the cost of our media efforts. If you'd like to join us either as a business partner or simply donate as an individual, we would welcome your call at 321-473-7770. You are always welcome to visit our website at www.helpingseniorsofbrevard.org. Thanks so much for your help. It does make a difference.